So some common conversational skills. There are also, though, some more formal public speaking skills that you need if you're going to become a good, effective communicator. So basically, you start with your common conversational skills and you amplify them. You make them bigger. But then you move to some more formal elements, like a purpose. Every time you get up in a setting where you're speaking publicly, you need to have a reason, something that you're trying to accomplish. Here's why I'm giving this speech. This is what I hope to accomplish in the lives of my listeners. So let's say a couple of you end up on camp teams next summer. And you're at your first camp for the summer, and the camp dean says, hey, we're going to give you 20 minutes during missions time, before lunch. We want your camp team to get up and just share a little bit about your school. Well, hopefully, you've already got your purpose lined out. Hopefully, Ammon and Rocky and whoever else is kind of help training you. They've guided you this far where you already know, here's what I'm trying to accomplish when I get those opportunities to speak. Or, like Giselle, maybe you get up and you give an announcement in chapel. Hopefully Giselle knew what her purpose was, what she was trying to accomplish. Even if it's just a 30-second little spot. What's the purpose? We don't always have that in conversation, just one-on-one. We're just living life together. We're just sharing whatever comes to our minds. But in a public speaking setting, it's a little bit more formal, so you do need a specific purpose. And we all need to know why. Second, a more formal structure. It's okay if your conversation meanders a little bit when you're one-on-one. Hopefully it's still going from A to B, but it may take a more zigzag, more circuitous route. It might look a little bit more like a river that's making its way to its destination. A speech should not look like that. A speech should look A to B. We ought to be able to follow very clearly how you started here and ended here, A to B. So you need to have a more formal structure. Also, you need to use more formal language. I said earlier that a common buzzword is the word authentic, and that's true. But it still needs to be formal. You should talk the way that people talk, but it still ought to sound like the way that an educated person would talk, if that makes sense. That's the basic rule of thumb that I give in preaching classes. When you're learning how to write, you write as people talk, but you write as an educated person would talk. Not like backwoodsy, all kinds of grammatical mistakes. It's okay to use some conversational slang as long as it's appropriate. It's okay to use contractions. It's okay even to end a sentence with a preposition. You know, your English comm teacher is going to tell you, don't do that. But do we speak that way? Sure we do. We use prepositions at the end of sentences all the time. And so when you're speaking, it's okay to use some of those more cultural communication patterns. But you still need to sound articulate and educated when you're doing that. And a more formal delivery. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're talking to somebody in Lang or over in the student center, and you might talk like this. Or you might just kind of be in conversation like this, or you might just kind of be hunched over like this. All of those are perfectly acceptable in one-on-one conversation. That's probably not going to work in here, is it? If it comes time for your speech day, and you've got 6 to 8 minutes to give your informative speech, and you come up here, grab a chair, go like this, how do you think that's going to impact your grade? The answer is not positively. It's going to have some negative ramifications. Yeah, Ian?
Unless you're talking about, how not to say.
Unless you're talking about how not to sit, then it would be perfectly acceptable. Yeah, there are absolutely times when you can use a prop effectively when you're saying what not to do or using it for some other purpose.